Kaushik Mukherjee, more popularly known as Q, made the colorfully named film Gandu 15 years back. Not just any ordinary film, Gandu most certainly was a deviant experience, an assault on the senses, a visceral deep dive into the psyche of a young man from Kolkata who is alienated, frustrated, and drowning in existential angst. A film that didn't just provoke but unsettled with its visual energy, graphic language, themes, and sexual expressions. But was it merely an exercise in shock, mere gimmick, or was there something deeper beneath the surface? 15 years later, we try to look at Gandu to find out how the film has aged and if it makes sense in today's India or Bengal that has changed much in last 1.5 decades. The film refused to provide easy answers back then. But does it divulge more now? Let us discuss. If one strips away the explicit, unfiltered sex scene, the only sequence in color in the otherwise black and white film, what remains is a deeply melancholic narrative about a young man in his late teens or early 20s, living in a small Kolkata apartment with his single mother. We never get to know his real name. We just find him addressed as Gandu all through, something to which he has come to terms with. The flat in which Gandu and his mother live is apparently a gift by Dash Babu, his mother's partner, in bed. Gandu is a witness to his mother and Dash Babu as they engage in lovemaking in the adjacent bedroom, while he quietly enters and steals money from Dash Babu's purse. The absurdity of the sequence make it particularly engaging to watch, and then on a closer look, it perhaps works as a metaphor for us, born and living in Kolkata. The city of joy, as it claims to be, is a far-stretched idea of the city we live in today. Much like the mother figure in Gandu's world, the exasperated, compromised figure of a woman lost between desires, responsibilities, and the burden of an image. There's this deceptively intelligent sequence of the mother singing a Rabindra Sangeet by her window, and within seconds that fades away as Q takes us to the scene of her in bed with Dash Babu as Gandu crawls into the room to steal money, followed by him breaking into his rap beats. This rupture of the supposed purity of a Tagore song with graphic sex and rap music is the clash of sensibilities that the film tries to strike at. The facades of the old generation, the new growing up within these lies, and the pretense only to seek shelter in gambling, drugs, or some other rapid vent of piled up energy is the subtext at play here. As Gandu loiters around the streets of Kolkata, passes through the shit, filth and rust everywhere, as we hear him say, as the typical signatures of Kolkata, the Howrah Bridge, Victoria Memorial, or Communist Party slogans fade away behind him like facades. Onub Bosu, playing the titular role, is apt in portraying the disillusioned soul, trapped between the suffocating walls of his mundane existence and the fire of his unfulfilled dreams. His reality is one of suffocation, of relentless failure, of poverty and class disparity. He writes obscene rap lyrics in his small diary, pouring his frustrations into words that might never be heard. His world is a paradox of noise and silence, his mind bursting with unspoken rage, while the streets of Kolkata hum with an inescapable mechanical din. The frustration of the mundane and the inability to do anything to escape it is so close to reality. And we are the ones still living in Kolkata, holding on to its nostalgia while betrayed by its motherly image, which was always a fantasy, a kind of replica of this lost young man, somewhere Gandu's ourselves. We see Onub going through the routine, sitting in an idle street, smoking, and always carrying this restless energy, this chaos inside him. You, as the viewer, feel for him. You understand his angst as he raps out his frustrations. We see him buy lottery tickets regularly, only to be let down the next day. He goes to the cyber cafe owned by Dash Babu to play violent video games while ogling at a woman talking suggestively to another man. This cycle of repetition with constant background noise of a leader making sermons to people about communistic ideals from far away is equally hopeless and oppressive. And then you realize how Q offered us a narrative that indie director Kanu Bell presented in Agra more than a decade later. The same piled up vitality and violence of a young Indian male, the sexual frustration finding crude vents, or the struggle for love and space in the city of Taj Mahal, an epitome of love and architecture. Agra is a far better handled film, a brilliant one, but that doesn't deny Q creating this pioneering image of the sad Indian male, which we spoke about in detail in an earlier video. The masculine subtext also extends to Ricksha in the film, curiously named so because he's a rickshaw puller. Although he does have a real name, he's almost never called by that. Probably Q's way of putting across a point of how society decides your roles based on your social situation. A Gandu or a rickshaw, or a shobji or kajer mein, or a khokon from the tea shop. In a capitalistic world where your identity is decided by the capital you have. The character of Ricksha, played by Joyraj Bhattacharya, is a fascinating contrast to Gandu. A Bruce Lee fanatic, he rides through the streets of Kolkata with Joy Baba Lee scrawled on his rickshaw, a tribute to his idol. Ricksha represents a person unbothered by the chaos around him, something which Gandu envies. The dynamic between Gandu and Ricksha in their shots together is more than just friendship. It is a representation of how two different worlds do not always need to collide. There is a class difference which is visible in the sequences, but their friendship blossoms nevertheless, sometimes even endearing. But as it happens with youth, to whom the society doesn't give any purpose, the fall is almost written in destiny, as Gandu and Ricksha go through a journey through aggressive drug consumption, which mixes their reality and surreal. So the fall that Gandu talks about to Ricksha in his Derelium or otherwise might well be about the decline of the country's connect to its youth, or thereby to its future. The soundtrack of Gandu is as rebellious as the film itself. Created by 5 little Indians and mostly sung by Q, the music is distorted, obscene and grungy, and yet an active participant in the narrative. The noise is deafening at times, almost unbearable, mirroring Gandu's psychological state, his frustration, his suppressed anger. Even today, the music remains remarkable, as bold and avant-garde as it was at the time of the release. The punk rock influences, the underground rap, the anarchic dissonance, it all adds to the film's raw, unsettling atmosphere. The lyrics, though, are way too explicit, with the implicit, simmering anger. So are we saying Gandu is a great film? We are not. Although it has qualities which indeed need to be discussed. It is defiant, and there is a lot that works for it. As radical and boundary-pushing it is, Gandu also becomes too indulgent for its own good. The film attempts to do too many things at once, layering elements of class conflict, artistic frustration, drug-fueled surrealism, and sexual rebellion in ways that don't always cohere and sometimes appear to be unnecessary or forced to an extent. Say for instance the politics of religion, as the film offers interesting hints on the ideas of God to Bruce Lee, but these moments feel more like scattered ideas than a cohesive narrative, making it difficult to fully engage with the subtext and politics. The film also tries too hard to be a protest film, which is a problem because it obscures the ideology of the maker and makes it about the audience. We understand that the film is anti-establishment, but what the film is for is the question. Having said that, this is a movie that showcases the unfiltered vision of a filmmaker, unafraid to challenge conventions. It is a free film, one that exists beyond oppression. It is a film which has been made in the way the creator wanted it to make. Gandu is a symbol of an entire generation's despair, a young man left behind by the relentless march of time and progress. His alienation is universal. He is every lost soul wandering the streets of an indifferent city, every young artist yearning to break free, but shackled by circumstances. It's unfortunate that the majority would remember the film for its sexually explicit content and not the provocations of a deeper dialogue beneath. Gandu exists in its own chaotic, anarchic universe, unapologetic and unrelenting. And yet, it demands to be watched, discussed and debated, and not to be dismissed as a sex film. But perhaps if this video would find its way to Q, the maker might well discard it upfront, suggesting that this discourse is bad, as anything he has protested against, trying to pin down his fluid thoughts to theories and meanings. And in this world that thrives on conformity, that alone is an act of defiance. That is all from us today. Thank you for watching.